What is up, YouTube, and welcome to this Hypnotic ending explained and review. There will be spoilers for this movie that is the latest Netflix Katie Siegel movie, and I'm pleased to say that this new Netflix movie was a superb watch. And while it's not usually my type of thing, I prefer more kind of creepy religious horror, the way it's shot, the performances and creative villain absolutely had me hooked. It is one of the best looking horror movies I think I've seen in quite a while. As I've not seen the trailer, I wasn't sure what I was getting myself in for, and it's not specifically horror, but it is just as creepy and unsettling as any slasher flick or The Conjuring. It follows Jennifer, played by the icon Katie Siegel, in my opinion, her best performance yet. She is a tech worker in between jobs, and as we learn, she actually has an ex-fiance, Brian, and their split was a lot more tragic than we were originally led to believe. They did have a miscarriage, but it was more of a real upsetting kind of stillbirth at 6 months, which pushed the couple apart, but they do still care for each other, which is evident as we see them at her friend's party. The movie itself opens with Andrea, a woman terrified, and it does look like she is being followed and tries to retreat to a lift as she gets a phone call leading her to be petrified, and later learn that people thought she died of a heart attack, but Rollins, the detective, thinks that she was just literally scared to death. She was put in a state by Mead that actually put her in a heart attack zone. Now, what is following and tormented her? Like I said, it turns out she was a patient of Dr. Mead, the handsome and charming therapist who targeted her for hypnosis, which is his speciality for treating his patients. He has a specific type, as Andrea looks similar to Jennifer, and his aim is to insert the memories of his wife into a female who looks like his wife, who sadly died, and he's been trying to replace her ever since. That's pretty creepy, bro. It's time to get on Tinder and move on. He is introduced to Jennifer at a party where she saves Brian's life by stopping him from eating sesame, which is actually he is deathly allergic to. The next morning, she is urged to seek treatment, which she does, and meets a woman who is being treated for hair pulling by Dr. Mead and then put under. Before this, Dr. Mead explains that his mentor was Xavier Sullivan, who we could later learn worked for the MK Ultra program, a CIA operation that tried to create mind control. If you haven't heard of it, there is a wealth of videos on this program on YouTube. It's here that he puts the triggers in her head and memories of his wife into her head as well. He can now control her by saying certain phrases, and she has no idea what happened. It all starts to go wrong when Mead triggers her to actually kill Brian, because he wants her all on his own. She wakes up and Brian has had an allergic reaction, but he's saved just in time. Jennifer suspects that, she caused the reaction and thinks that Mead made her do it. Having visions and finding the receipt as well for the sesame oil absolutely makes her think that he is involved, and finds that Mead's patients have died in mysterious circumstances, and goes to Gina for help and meets Rollins, the detective I mentioned earlier, who actually questioned him before but couldn't keep him for very long, and he was let go as he was blackballed. Inspired, he does actually look into it again and finds all of the victims look the same, but there's a problem as Gina, her friend, was hypnotized and probably told Mead everything about Jennifer, meaning Gina isn't safe from triggers either. Now, Jennifer has a plan to recall Mead by seeing him again, but he is instantly suspicious as she acts really weird, and he out of the blue, he does actually get her to admit she was recording him and what she said to the police. I do think that this whole killer, or he's not really a killer, whoever he is just so very, very clever and smart. I think this is one of the most creative movies I've seen in quite a while. It's then that Gina is triggered, killing her and her husband, and after a visit from Rollins, Mead sends one of his patients, the hair puller, after him, putting him in hospital. The atmosphere in this movie is superb, as is the effect that Jennifer has when she is sent under. while there is no absolutely kind of monster or anything else, it's just as creepy. But, well, Rollins suggests trying to get someone to uninception her, which doesn't work. She's had visions of a woman and a house, and Mead in bed with her. After being out under she sees all of this, and, well, the triggers cannot be undone. Luckily, they actually insert a counter trigger, which we would learn later in the end of the movie, that when he says, "my love," it undoes all of the facade, which is pretty smart. She heads to the house she saw in the vision with no one else and instantly gets absolutely taken over, and he forces her to dress up like his wife and wear the bracelet she saw which says March 6th, which is their wedding anniversary. He's implanted the memories into her and tries to finish the job, only for Rollins to arrive as a firefight ensues. I think the plot here is very, very cool, and we have a showdown and we think that Mead is dead, but it's all part of the illusion he set up to make her think he's Rollins. However, the minute he says "my love," it all fell away. As Mead is stopped, the day is saved. Now, we know that she is still in love with Brian, who she goes to see in a coma, and says that she will see him 1 month later, and Rollins has been promoted. I've seen some people say that this isn't really that good. I really, really enjoyed it. I had a great time watching it. I was absolutely gripped trying to find out what actually went on in the flick. But, well, that's just my opinion. I'd love to hear what you think down below in the comments. If you enjoyed it, if you hated it, let me know. And if you enjoyed the video, please do drop a like and subscribe with notifications on. And I will be back soon with a video on Army of Thieves. And goodbye.